Hello, horror fans. Welcome to Death by Podcast, the horror movie podcast. Episode 62. I am your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
What a show today, Kevin. It is our last show of the season, technically, but then we have another show next week.
We have one more that is our big award
show. Worst of, best
on
of.
the last season. Yeah.
So, but this is letter Z. This is the end of the alphabet, which if you're a listener and a true fan, you know what that means. I just saw, so again, I've got Star Trek on in the background, and it was like a testicle with a beard and a rat face.
Is it the same episode from earlier with the
I think so. No, I think it's actually different. Long white hair on a testicle with a rat face. No?
I mean, it sounds like maybe season one. I don't
know the name of the aliens, though?
No.
The Durangis or something like that? Ferengis?
No, the Ferengis are...
Django's.
The Ferengis are the ones with the giant ears that wrap around the...
Oh, with the ball sack on a ball sack.
The ones that we were in the last one.
Yeah. Right. These guys, I don't know. And they, you know, when they talk, they've got their mouth, they're like a mouse, and their mouth just doesn't move, like very little. So it's like, what are we doing here? I don't know. I don't know what I was going to tell you. We got a big show, folks. We got a big show. Today, we're doing Zombie Nightmare 1986. Now, when we set out to do this movie, we didn't know the sort of history and everything that went into it with the one of the stars, Jon Mikl Thor.
Jon Mikl Thor.
Mikl Thor. Sorry, my bad. Jon Mikl Thor. We're going to get into that, the documentary about him, which is great, and his music and all kinds of stuff. Before we get into that, I think we should go. Oh, you got any? Is there any news?
There's some big Munsters news.
Well, that's for our other famous segment, but we don't have any like.
Not a ton, man.
General,
like little things, like just some still images, like nothing crazy.
All right. So Zombie Watch. I want to start this one with a shout out to friend of the show, longtime listener, Anthony Toro. So Anthony messaged me on Instagram and he said he wanted to make sure we saw the Munsters trailer. And because he knows, he even said us, here's the message he sent. He says, that's not it. He says, and you can find Anthony on Instagram. I think it's just Spider Tro, Anthony Toro. Find him on Instagram. Great guy. He messaged me. He messaged me and he says, I know you guys do your Rob Zombie Munsters watch, LOL. And he sent a TikTok that he made of his reaction to the trailer.
Okay.
Which is hilarious. It's like 5 seconds long. I'll share it with you, Kevin, later. But thank you, Anthony, for making sure that we saw that. And we did. And wow, Kevin. Oh, I don't know where to start with it, man. I don't know. I'll tell you this. This is where I'll start with it.
Do you still think it's like
it's terrifying. If you watch that trailer and you're not terrified, if you're not scared out of your mind, you should be. But for different reasons. It looks like at first glance, and I one of the Facebook groups that I follow is like a Svengoolie group, and they always post horror stuff. And somebody posted the trailer, and then there was, comments, and all the comments were just like, what the fuck is this?
It looks homemade. Like it
looks homemade. That's the thing.
It
what
looks like, but
tell me about that.
There's like
video?
A certain, I don't know if it's a camera they use or what it is, because obviously like he knows what he's doing. Maybe it's intentional, but like it looks like a Mystery Science Theater looked like on the in-between segments where it looked
way worse than that.
Shitty.
It made MST3K look like Golden Globes.
Yeah,
but
like
it looks like.
With them, it adds to the charm. With this, it's like, what the fuck? Did you guys make this with like
$7 and some like
your own shit? Like
it looks like unfinished softcore porn.
Yeah,
the quality of it.
Yeah, it does. It looks like, frankly, like porn looks better now. Like this looks like porn from 15 years ago. Yeah, like this looks like a Munsters porn parody.
And I'm talking about, and when I say that, I'm talking about specifically the quality of the video, of the footage that we saw. Like you go on Tubi, which is great, but they have a lot of shit on there. And when you, and it's like, because I get the feeling Tubi picks up almost any low budget film, fan film, whatever you want to call it. And that's what it looks like. It looks like one of those shitty Tubi movies that somebody made with their friends. And that's kind of what it is. It's Rob Zombie and his friends making a Munsters movie. And it's like, man, I'm going to get the one good thing out of the way. The one good thing. And it was Grandpa's voice.
Yeah.
Was pretty spot on, right?
Yeah. Grandpa's voice was spot on.
All right. Let's talk some more shit about it.
It was, I mean, you didn't see a whole lot of Herman.
You did?
I mean, I don't know what to say about it. It looked so, it reminds me of, you ever hear about like how like Prince would like make movies, or like George Lucas makes movies that nobody will ever see. Yeah. But he just puts, like, it looks like they did that. It looks like they shot it in Rob Zombie's house.
Because he's smart enough to realize that they're garbage and not show them to anyone, which I feel like Rob Zombie, and Rob Zombie is a nice guy. I've run into him in real life. My brother has. He's always been nice. He is a creator, and I respect that.
I've liked a lot of his stuff in the past.
I don't, but that's because of the content. But there, nothing against him personally, nothing against him creatively. But this looks like there wasn't a lot of, something is wrong on this. Something is wrong.
Yeah. It doesn't look like, I mean, I don't even know. And it's weird. I mean, now we kind of know the story, that it's like the origin of how Herman and Lily got together, which explains why there's no Eddie. Which is
really dumb.
It's a weird way to take it.
You don't like, I feel, is this one of those instances where you're like, we don't need this? Is this a Han Solo thing where you're like, we don't need that story?
Yeah. Yeah, it is, but it's also like, I mean, why do this? Like, why set it then? I mean, unless you have something to say. I mean, maybe he has this idea, and who knows?
And Sherry Moon, man, I knew, just takes me right out of it, because it's just her. It's just her doing cosplay, and I could see the makeup that the effort they did with Herman and with Grandpa. It's there, and maybe in like a better quality situation or whatever is going on with the video, it would look better, but it just looks so sad. It looks sad,
Yeah,
it's like weird. I felt bad watching it for Rob Zombie. I was like, man,
it looks
a step backwards in his career,
Oh, for sure. And it's just I don't know, maybe it's not done, like maybe but they showed so much. There's so much they showed too. Like, it was a long trailer. It didn't have to be that long. Like,
now that we're talking about it, and it's like I'm picturing scenes in my head, like of Grandpa doing his stuff and little like dry ice making smoke going over here or whatever, and it just looks like something that you see on.
I mean, it looks like Svengoolie, like which is part of Svengoolie's charm, and it's the thing, but it's
actually now that you say that, there's like the thing with Svengoolie that makes it look like that is that it's live, like you're looking at it live, or at least like it's not happening when you watch Svengoolie. It's not live going on now, but it was taped live. There was no like editing as far as it's like that kind of shoot, and that's what this looks like. It like live TV. Rough. It's weird, man. As far as the content, the story, that seems silly. I guess you could do how they met and it could be cool. That doesn't look like the case.
Well, they're also going to be, I mean, it looks like they're showing the origin of like Herman, like he's going to get like created in the movie too.
It just looks like a bunch of bad choices.
Yeah, it looks rough. I mean, maybe it'll be great.
I guarantee this will not get a theatrical release.
No way. It didn't. And then at the end, that was the other weird thing. At the very end, when it said like, I guess it's coming out in September, but like even the font and like the graphics they use in the trailer.
It's what I get. It's what I do on Canva.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like somebody made it on their fucking phone.
Yeah, it does. That's
like the whole thing doesn't look professionally made. It looks like a fan film, like a literal fan. I mean, I guess you could. The argument could be like, well, it is, but like, there's a certain like, I don't know if it's the camera or there's like an amateurish like feel. It's like when you watch it, like those videos of like people make of like Batman versus the Predator, like the costumes look great, but there's something missing. It doesn't look like a movie.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's what this looks like.
Absolutely. And it makes me wonder, like, I still don't know what production company's behind it. Maybe he's funded it 100% himself or something. But the thing I'm most curious about is the Munsters as a property has been still active. Like the YouTube channel posts almost daily new stuff. And that to me says that somebody owns that. And I know that they, on the YouTube channel, they posted the trailer for this. So whatever is going on there with the rights to it, I feel like if they're like long-term rights holders to the Munsters property, they're looking at this like, oh shit. What did we okay? What did we say okay to? Because
it reminds me of the Dr. Seuss family.
Well,
they made the Grinch movie, which people like, but I hate.
You talking about Jim Carrey? Okay.
Yeah, and then they made The Cat in the Hat, which is a fucking literal nightmare. And after that, they basically were like, you're not using our characters anymore. And then they eventually settled down, okay, but it has to be animated. You're not, you know what I mean? No more live action.
Yeah, that's too bad because the Jim Carrey one I didn't like. It's grown on me, but it's very metallic and stale.
It's really weird, and it's
weird.
It just seems I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like a 12-page story.
Yeah,
and you have to literally stretch it out into this.
It's grown on me though. The one I couldn't get through was the new animated one because of all the modern music that's in it. It's like I don't want to hear rap or even metal I don't want to hear rap or rock or anything like that in my Grinch story. It's like that takes away from the simplicity and the charm of it.
Or the timelessness of it, I guess.
Timelessness.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point. It dates it,
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, look at
the original is not
the
dated,
original
timeless.
Cartoon is timeless,
So good.
And that one, they're just reading the book and then, but anyway, movie looks like shit.
But it is going to be all the more reason, dude, that it is going to be terrifying. I'm telling you.
It's so weird at the end. It says it's coming out in September.
Why?
But it doesn't say on what or if it's in theaters. It's so
because it is going to go.
Is it going to be on his website? What the fuck?
They probably don't have a streaming service that's like, nah, man, we don't want that shit. Or, this would be the saddest right here. It's only on the Munsters YouTube channel.
I mean, what? Yeah. What's going on with that? Jeez. And it's not a worthless property. You would think it especially now when they're literally making anything anybody's ever heard of can get, I can't believe there's something Gilligan's Island movie. Or I mean, they did Chips. Yeah. You know what I mean? They'll make anything.
I've been watching a lot of Chips lately. Actually,
they'll make anything that has any name recognition whatsoever. Yeah. And the Munsters at least has that. I mean, and it's a solid series.
I finally saw a picture of the Jeff Daniel Phillips, the guy who's playing Herman.
Yeah,
I'm looking at him right now, but I finally caught a picture. Dude, I know this dude. I've seen him in shit.
Yeah, I think we talked about it when.
I didn't realize that was him though. But I can't really picture Westworld. I can't really picture what it was that I've seen him in, and it wasn't Rob Zombie stuff. But I know this dude's face. I can't believe that that's him because I usually see him with a goatee.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I imagine, or at least a mustache. But I can hear his voice. No, get Sherry Moon the fuck out of here, man. I cannot stand that woman.
She's a package deal, man.
I know, but give her
you're gonna watch Rob Zombie movies.
If she had played Marilyn, or not Marilyn, the daughter, the niece. The niece.
That's Marilyn.
Marilyn,
right? Yeah.
No.
She.
What's? Lily. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it is Marilyn. If she had played her,
she's too old.
You put a short hair wig and whatever.
Too old. She's 50.
Cameo. It keeps her role to a small, thing.
Maybe you would think though that that's the story. That's what that should be the story is that you make her the audience surrogate. Is that the right word? You make her the audience, you're seeing it from her perspective, and then she's coming in and dealing with, or you Brady Bunch it.
Of Marilyn, you talking about Marilyn's perspective?
Yeah, because she's a regular person.
Sure,
and either she's already living there, and you have to these. But yeah, I would think you would Brady Bunch it, even though they've kind of already done that.
How do you Brady Bunch something?
What they did with the Brady Bunch movies, not the made-for-TV ones, the ones they made in the 90s, where the family's exactly the same, and then the rest of the world is like, what the fuck? What is the deal with these fucking people? You know what I
So
mean?
it's like the same actors, you mean?
Like in the 90s, they did the Brady Bunch and the Brady Bunch sequel, and they're like, they act exactly like they did on the show, but the show takes place in the
I
90s.
got you. So they're square.
They're
They're
kind
square.
of, but yeah, but with the Munsters, they wouldn't be square. They'd just be weird, you know?
Well,
They did it with the Addams Family too. You know, the Addams Family was like, everybody else was normal.
Yeah.
And the Addams were like, you know.
I mean, that's kind of a trope of or like a trademark of the Munsters, because whenever they go out in public,
Yeah.
like a dinner party or something. Yeah. I'm playing it right now just to like make sure I wasn't crazy. And I'm looking at the images. It looks like a beer commercial.
Yeah, it looks like a Super Bowl commercial.
It looks like a
really
Super Bowl
does.
commercial.
That's what it looks like.
And you can tell like there's production quality that went into it.
Sometimes. There's some shots that look like they shot in this fucking garage, which isn't even a deal breaker. I mean, they shot, you know, they shoot lots of good things in the garages, but like this, you know,
garages.
They shot Lord of the Rings in a parking lot, you know. But
did they really? Yeah, that's why there's cars in the background.
Well, that there's certain scenes that were shot in parking lots.
Dude, I gotta stop this. This is it just looks gross, man. I don't know. I can't wait. I can't fucking wait to watch it.
I tell you what, I was very optimistic. I'm no longer. Now I'm not looking forward to watching.
No, I'm even more. But when I watch it, like I said, like it's gonna be. I think you're crazy if you think you're gonna watch this movie, not walk away from it subliminally affected by it.
Yeah, you're just gonna end it there and not walk away from it. Like at some point.
So I wonder
if I'll be able.
When
to
I watch it, I'm gonna put like I'm not even kidding, dude. I'm gonna put like I've got 2 pairs of old school 3D glasses. I'm gonna watch it with that, even though it's not in 3D, just to like make sure that no weird ideas go through into my eyes and into my brain. So I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's gonna be the Halloween movie of the year if it's streaming on something, if we can find it anywhere, if it gets released.
Yeah, I don't know. It's maybe. It looks like like I don't know. Have you ever seen like an angry video game nerd movie, or like when a YouTuber makes a movie?
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
It's garbage. Every one of you YouTubers out there that's ever made a movie, garbage.
Yeah, they're always I've met the nostalgia critic at a convention one time. Like we were both working the same con, and I bullshit with him for a while. And all I could think about, I'm like, I hate everything. Like I think he was a nice guy, and we were talking for a while. But I was just like, everything I've ever seen this guy makes. Just
I don't even know who it is. I don't know.
The nostalgia critic.
Yeah,
cringe like until like you like pop.
Really?
Like pull the nostalgia critic.
Is he still doing YouTube?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he was a really, really successful one of the first big YouTube channels.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, what if we had gotten into YouTube back in the day? We'd be kings.
Yeah.
That's what it was all about. Can't wait. September can't come soon enough. We'll definitely keep you guys updated. Should we move on to our famous segment? What'd you watch? Did you watch anything?
I watched more Orville, which is still great. Watched a documentary on Kids in the Hall. Nothing scary, I don't think.
You ever see Kids in the Hall live?
Never saw them live. No, I mean
I did.
Seen the show. Really, that's cool.
Oh yeah, it was like whatever that reunion tour or whatever back in 2008 or something.
Yeah, I
saw them
the first time they came back.
Yeah, they've done it how many times since?
Well, they just did it again this year.
Really?
Yeah,
man, go see that if you get the chance. I saw it at the Chicago Theater. It was phenomenal. So glad I'm so glad they're still doing it.
Their new show on Amazon is awesome.
What is it? Is it Kids in the Hall?
It's just Kids in the Hall. It's just more Kids in the Hall.
Really?
Old.
And it's new? Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's like 10 episodes maybe.
Dude,
it's hilarious, and they haven't lost a step, and it's just that they're old now.
Yeah, Chicken Lady, dude, the best.
I love Chicken Lady. What do you say?
I watched. So I watch Joe Bob on Fridays, Last Drive-In on Shudder live. I watch Svengoolie Saturdays, both great horror hosts. Joe Bob's season ended, I think, 2 weeks ago. So I went and watched. So he wasn't on, and I went and watched. But you can still find all the episodes for the season. And I had missed that he had it. And he always does a double feature. But he had the movie The Stepfather, which I think 87.
Is that Treat Williams?
Terry O'Quinn.
Yeah. I'm thinking of The Substitute.
So yeah. Terry O'Quinn from Lost, great actor.
Yeah.
This was one of those VHSs that I was like, I know it. I never watched the movie. It didn't really like spark a lot of interest to like go out of my way to watch it. But since it was on Joe Bob's show, I put it on, and man, I mean, Joe Bob's commentary that he does is great because that dude does his homework, and he's always got like really awesome facts. He knows everything about the movie and then some, which is great. But that stuff aside, the movie on its own is a phenomenal horror movie.
I've heard it's great.
It is really good, man. And I guess O'Quinn comes back for the sequel, which I haven't seen, but I want to watch. But it's directed really well. I don't know who the director is, but he's great. The cast is really good. Great ending. But yeah, awesome story. I think that's what it was. I was like, a stepfather who's just crazy, whatever. I don't care. But the story is really cool. Yeah, I highly recommend. I won't blow anything.
Yeah, but I would check it out. Is that streaming or anything?
Well, I was gonna say, if you get the chance, if you have Shudder, watch it on Shudder with Joe Bob, because he makes it even better. You have Shudder, right?
Yeah, I have Shudder.
Yeah, so all of his seasons of Last Drive-In are on there, and that's just such a great show in and of itself to put on, in the background or whatever while you're doing shit, or just to sit and watch, because he's awesome, man. He's given Svengoolie like a run for his money, but Svengoolie does like more like black and white, really old school stuff. Joe Bob is all over the map, but mostly more modern stuff, more like 80s stuff, 90s. And plus it's definitely like an R-rated show, but yeah, really good stuff. So if you have Shudder, I recommend watching it there. If you don't, find it somewhere else. I'm sure it's around. What else? I think that's it. You got anything else before we get into it?
No, I was going to
do it.
Have you been getting like assaulted with like these like things you may have missed posts about Stranger Things?
I know what you're talking about.
So some of them are fun. Like when they first start happening, like the bracelet one, or like, like, hey, look, like it's Will's birthday.
Assaulted.
Like things that actually were like, or like references where it's like, look, they have a tiny little Beetlejuice thing.
Okay.
They're getting nuts and like to the point where I was like, this isn't. What is it? I've unfollowed so many people.
Yeah.
Like one of them was like, look at all these crazy references to 80s movies. And it was just like when Nancy and what's her name were just in the prison in the basement.
Yeah.
It was like they showed that frame and then Silence of the Lambs. Like it's a reference to Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
And like the last, like they had like 10 like that, where it's like, look, they had a picture of a Hopper and then a similar frame of Brody from Jaws. Like it was just like they were lined up in the shot the same way. And I was like, what is that? That's not a reference to Jaws. And then the worst one, I mean, there was like 10 of these. And I'm like, and I took pictures of them. I should have sent them to you. The last one was Eddie doing like that, like when making his face, like doing the like, and they put it next to a picture of Evil Ed from Fright Night. And I was like, what? He's just making a face. Like that's not.
It's a reach. Reach.
I mean, the whole thing, it was 10 reaches, and it was like, give me a fucking break.
Man. I know what you mean, man.
Come on with this. I know you did.
Totally. People, it's weird. The Stranger Things phenomenon, which I don't remember it being like this for season one, maybe season 2 and 3. No.
Yeah.
I feel like it had kind of like gone down, but now season 4, man, has really brought out the Stranger Things like culture and like almost like what happens with Star Wars. But you don't notice it unless you're into that stuff, like following Star Wars accounts or following Stranger Things accounts, whatever. But I feel like, it is everywhere. I did we talked about it last week, but I did a huge, and still doing like huge deep dives, just because something about this season has really pulled me in a different way.
A lot of people are saying. My brother-in-law said the same thing. He rewatched the whole series.
Yeah.
Before, but that was to catch up his wife. His wife had never seen it. Yeah,
it's a phenomenal show. It's a great season, but I know what you mean, man. Like some of these, and I think it's like the younger audience that's kind of taking it and just like, although why would they be busting out Jaws Brody references?
It was just so weird to be like, look at this. It was like, that's just 2 guys that are dressed like cops. That's all that is. Like there were like 10 of them. I couldn't believe it. I had to. It made me want to throw my phone out the window.
Yeah,
but
that's cool. Just unfollow him.
Yeah,
or like leave a shitty comment and then unfollow. Say like leave a comment that says like unfollowed, and then I could totally see you doing that.
No. I don't even. Okay, sorry. I have it in front of me because it's like 10 pages. It's one of those ones where it's like,
sure.
So there's a scene where Steve and Dustin are walking on railroad tracks.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they put it next to a picture of Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly
railroad
it's a reference because there's railroad tracks.
Yeah.
I live by railroad tracks and I walk on them sometimes, and it's clearly a reference to Stand By Me. I mean, some of these are fucking crazy.
Which isn't even the new season. That's season 3.
Oh yeah, well, there's stuff from season 2 in here. There's where they put a wig on 11.
On 11.
And then they put it next to when they did that to ET.
Yeah, I was gonna say, some of this stuff, I would say there could be some validity to it, because I had the same thought with the wig. I was like, that's like ET's wig. The train track scene, whatever. But it's like, shut the fuck up, man.
There's a picture of Winona Ryder with an axe from season 1, and then they just put it next to The Shining, because he also had it in clearly as a reference to The Shining.
See, now that's bullshit.
It's crazy, and this is an account with like 5,000 tons of followers, man.
Well, that's why, because there's a bunch of idiots out there. That's why. Fucking idiots. I just hope that, and I could totally see something like that ruining Stranger Things for you.
Oh, no.
So I hope.
I mean, it's not going to ruin it. I was just like, what a bunch of fucking. It ruined Instagram for me for the day, but Well,
Instagram was ruined for you.
Instagram's on its last leg with me.
You joined Instagram.
I loved it for the first 3 or 4 years. And
it's great. You just got to use it correctly. Zombie Nightmare. You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. 1986. Do we know who directed this? I didn't write that down. I should have.
I didn't write that down.
Yeah, I got it. It. Check this out. Jack Bravman. You know him? You know his work?
No, I don't.
I don't know. I wrote it down. Starring, I guess you could say, Adam West. Maybe no. Yeah.
Adam West and Tia Carrere are top billed.
Yeah, they are.
But that's after the fact.
That's some bullshit, man. Because all right, so then the zombie. I understand. All right, so anyway, Jon Mikl Thor. He's the zombie guy in this. He also did the music for this, and we're gonna get into his whole big craziness. Yeah. But that's some bullshit that even to this day, considering how all this stuff out of anybody involved with this movie, he is arguably not the most famous, because that would be Adam West, but Adam West was in this as a name drop. But this dude, I don't know why he doesn't get top billing. I mean, I don't know. At the time, he wasn't who he became.
Well, this movie too is more famous for being it was on Mystery Science Theater and Riff Track. They came back and did it again. It's famous for being, and I think they did it on Red Letter Media too. I'm not sure.
Really? That I'd like to see.
I think so. He has another movie called Rock and Roll Nightmare.
Okay.
That I think you would really like.
Did you watch it?
Yeah. Okay. I have a friend who is obsessed with these terrible movies. Rock and Roll Nightmare is something else.
Okay.
Yeah, it's yeah. What do you say about this one, man?
So as far as let's tackle the movie.
Oh yeah, can we talk about the soundtrack first? I wish all movies did this, where they say "and music by" and they list every band in the credits.
Well, they knew at the time, because they knew what they had, so they were going to use it to their advantage, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, Motorhead gets
right off the bat, right?
Motorhead. Yeah,
opening scene. So you got Motorhead, you got Death Mask, you got Thor, which is Jon Mikl Thor. You got Fist. Mm-hmm. There were a bunch of others, and it's a great soundtrack. And for the movie, it's a metal movie, man. And it's a crazy low budget. I think the movie is solid though. And you know what?
Yeah, movie's solid.
When we started watching it, I was like, oh, I've seen this. I didn't realize that I had seen it, and I had, and I don't know what made me watch it. And it's been years since I had seen it, maybe 3 years. But I remembered the ending with Adam West. What happened?
The Adam West ending. Okay. Because
of that zombie, because it's a great zombie. But yeah, the movie's solid. It's shitty and it's B, but it is what it is. You don't go into something like this expecting anything else, except for maybe having more Adam West. But Adam West must have just been in this must have been his.
I mean, I think it's the second one where it's
yeah.
Halfway through this, I was like, I thought fucking Adam. Are they gonna do this again? What was the other movie? What he did? The One Dark Night.
It was One Dark Night.
Yeah, where they said he was in it, and then
even less
for two. Movie. Yeah, that was nuts.
At least he's a character in this, and he's a good, and it's a good
he's
character.
Great. He's great. He's my favorite part,
dude. He's got the best line.
Is it the, kids? I wrote it down too, and I don't have that. I have a different sheet in front of me.
What were you gonna? What line was it, or what scene?
Is it the, kids are gonna be kids, smoking marijuana, blowing red lights, and
Oh yeah, now that was a great line. But I think
it's only a matter of time before they graduate to murder.
Yeah,
It's like what? I forget what the line was exactly. But it was
yeah.
blowing red lights and smoking marijuana.
He's got another line where he yells at the voodoo witch, and he's like, I wrote it down as like his Billy Ocean moment, because he's like, "Get in the car, witch."
Yeah, he's everything he has is gold. He's so good.
Yeah, he was good, and he dude, his gun. He pulls this gun out, or he's like cleaning it or something, because he's the cop. He's like a shitty, dirty detective, I guess. And he pulls this gun out, which is a shitty piece of, as far as guns go, it's like a 38 or something like that, but it's got this massive laser scope on it.
Oh yeah, what is up with that? Like,
it's a revolver. It's a revolver. Shitty
that
revolver
must have been just like the
with
gun.
Like a massive laser scope that he never uses. He uses the gun, but he never uses the laser scope.
And that gun was the weirdest. Like, and that must have just been the prop they had. Like, left.
I guarantee Adam West was like, "I want a big gun," and they were like, "We don't have a big gun, but we got the scope."
That was weird. I remember I didn't notice it until the other cop had it. Dave, is that his name? What was his name? Frank.
Yeah, like the good guy, or the
guy
who just kind of like came out of nowhere, didn't really do anything, but at the end he's kind of the hero, I guess, at the end. Or
I guess. I mean, weird. I kind of have
positioned that way.
I don't know. But Adam West, it looked like he was like, didn't he feel like he was playing like Tom Atkins? Like he was like channeling Tom Atkins.
Totally. Yeah. Like a only like a villain version. Yeah.
But like, I could totally see Tom Atkins playing this part.
I don't know, man. Tom Atkins never played a villain. He was always a good guy. And I think that was by choice. I bet if you sat down with Tom Atkins, he would tell you, like, any role that he took, he wasn't a villain. I mean, I can't think of one.
I guess you're right.
But you're right. Like, the character is very like Tom Atkins. What do they call it? Like hard-boiled, like cop guy. He's a bag of shit, but he's got that good attitude, like that gruff.
Yeah.
Shit.
The cops in this movie, but they keep trying to they remind me of you ever hear the cops that like were assigned to like solve Biggie's murder, like Notorious B.I.G.?
No.
Yeah, they just like rule. I bet no, it wasn't a suit. Those cops and the Kurt Cobain cops. They were just like, I guess it's suicide. No, we're gonna move on. We're not gonna bother trying to solve this.
Yeah.
Every cop in this movie just keeps making either jokes or like real suggestions. Like, nah, man, murder suicide. Let's go get lunch. Like, like that's like a real like. I feel like they're trying to make a point there. Like, for as often as the cops do that,
totally.
They're like, no, it's him. Like when they get the big muscle guy, and they're like, it's clearly him. He's got muscles. That's him. That's who did it.
Yeah, shitty cops, man. It's like a trope of the '80s, like having shitty cops, especially in these like seriously B movies. I want to one more note as far as the cast goes. Sean Levy played one of the teens in this.
Jimbo.
Is that who it was?
That's the main jerk.
I think that was him. Sean Levy?
The name sounds familiar, but no.
So he's one of the producers and directors on Stranger Things since the beginning. Maybe time.
That's why it popped up.
It's like the Duffer Brothers and then Sean Levy. Awesome director. But obviously this was before all that. So the movie opens up. We don't have to go through it beat by beat, but the movie opens up with something that I didn't catch the first time around. And like they're like, everybody's at this baseball game.
Well, wait, before there's that, they have this like false start where they play a scene that's gonna be that comes. It's like they do the scene that like where they do the scene at the end of the movie.
Oh,
and then they eventually come back to it. Except they do a scene,
right?
But they do a scene that happens 15 minutes from the start time. They do a scene 15 minutes in the movie,
right?
And they just do a hard cut.
So it's Jon. So Jon Mikl Thor plays
Tony,
who is set up as the hero of the movie, but then gets killed and becomes a zombie. And that's the opening scene, is him coming back to life with the voodoo and stuff. And which is great. It's a great scene. Maybe that's why they wanted to use it twice. He's got that. I don't know how they did it, but I love his scream.
Yeah,
Zombie
the scream was
scream.
great. The makeup was great.
It's great.
You think that's why they did it in Goodfellas? You think like, in the scene where they're like, "What the hell is that?" and they go and they kill the guy in the trunk. You think Martin Scorsese was just like, "This is a really good scene. Let's just put it in
twice.
let's just put it in the movie. Just put it right at the beginning, and then we'll put it in again when it's supposed to happen." That's probably the thinking behind that.
Yeah, totally. No, I guarantee for this, that's probably what they did. But yeah, then it goes to the softball game. There's a couple like greaser punks, and there's a chick, I guess, who's like walking home alone, and they go to rob her, rape her, or whatever. And this giant dad sees it happening and goes to stop it. And dude, this fight scene where he's just taking on these two punks is amazing. Like I don't know, the choreography, the like lack of
it's like professional wrestling.
Yeah,
like,
it really. Yeah, okay, great.
He like power bombs a guy and like does one of these and then like hits one of the guys with the other guy.
I bet this dude was a wrestler. Like, yeah, he. And I was thinking the whole time, man, if I could lift somebody over my head like that, and I caught them doing this, I'm bringing you down on my knee and just crippling you forever, like right over my knee. It's like the guy who grabbed you by the neck. It's like the guy who grabbed you by the neck at the farm aid. What did I say I was going to do? I was going to pull his dick off with my hand. That's what I was going to do. But yeah, so he ends up saving the girl, but gets killed in the process. The girl is the one who grows up to become the voodoo witch, who ends up this guy's son Jon Mikl Thor. He gets killed by the new punks, and she brings him back to life, which is what happened. And then you go to the ending, which I didn't realize. That zombie that pulls Adam West in is the dad. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm glad I watched this twice, because the first time I watched it, here's the other. Okay. So the woman that plays like the voodoo lady that brings him
crazy.
Back. By the way, it's the same plot as Toxic Avenger, like where he's just going and killing all the people that killed him. She's going for it, man. She's like,
I guess.
I mean, it's nuts. But
the way she talks,
it's nuts. It's crazy. She must really talk like that, because there's no way that's like a choice.
No, I think that's a choice. You think?
I mean, it's nuts, and you can't. And that's another thing. So there's a scene. So at the end, when she says, like, when she's explaining what happened, like when Adam West is like, "No, zombie," all of a sudden he knows all this stuff about zombies.
Get in the car, witch.
But like, that part? No, she's got this line where she says, I wrote it down. I was like, what? She's basically explaining the deal, and she says, sorry, I'm just looking at all my notes and all these crazy lines that are in the movie. So she goes, he killed the boy's father to save my life. Okay. But like, she says this boy's father, but it sounds like she says his boy's father. And I was like, wait. So the first time I saw it, I was like, is he the kid from the beginning of the movie? And I thought they like Private Ryan'd it, where the opening they shot of Private Ryan, they show this old man, and then they do a flashback, and you think the old man is Tom Hanks,
right?
But then at the end of the movie, it turns out it's not. It's someone else.
It's Matt Damon, right?
Yes, it's Matt Damon. And so going into this the second time, I was like, that's what I thought they did, because they showed the little kid, and they show the editing. This was really good,
but it is
Thor.
The little kid is Thor.
The little kid's Thor.
Right.
But I thought that the little kid was Adam West.
Oh.
The first time I saw it, because I just didn't get, because they leave all the like exposition dumps to this person who like talks in the craziest, most like difficult accent to understand.
She says, what was the line you just said?
She says, he killed this boy's father for trying to save my life. Is what
the way she sounds is like, he killed this boy's father for trying to say and I'm like, what is she doing?
It's nuts.
But she talks like that every time with this like weird stuttery Jamaican accent.
I couldn't believe the scene where she's like bringing him back, when she's doing the ritual to bring him back.
Yeah.
Goes on it's just her yelling gibberish.
Yeah.
Forever. I'm like,
she's trying to win. She is really trying to win an Oscar. Like, she went into this thinking, this is my opportunity. Adam West. She's like, I'm going to be working with Adam West with Batman. She's like, this is my opportunity to win an Oscar. And she just should have won. She should have won. That's all I got to say. Nah, she's great, I guess.
Yeah, she's something. There's a lot of scenes like that, by the way, that are like long for no reason. Like that one, okay, maybe this ritual takes a long time and there's a lot of anticipation.
Yeah, dude.
I get, but then there's a tennis scene in the middle of the movie.
Okay, I took notes
for
on that.
Fucking
this
ever.
tennis scene, man. I wrote down intense tennis match. Weird. What's up with this tennis match? I kept taking
between this guy and his girlfriend.
Yeah, who are like, they just come out of nowhere, and it's like,
well, what's really weird is the way they do. Okay, so like, it's a group of friends that kill Thor.
Yeah,
like
driving, they run him over.
Yeah, they run him over, which I guess it sounds like it was a real like concern for people, like that these like people were getting run over in the 80s.
Yeah, I guess.
Lloyd Kaufman on the commentary for Tax Avenger said that like, yeah, they were writing articles, but people were just running people over,
like hit and runs,
like for fun.
For fun, yeah.
And it was like, and that's where he kind of came anyway. But like, so the whole group, they're kind of shitty, but there's one kid in particular, this kid Jim, who's like a real piece of shit. He's like, and he's the guy that like ran him over and like liked it, and like it's like he goes to rape somebody, and you would think you would leave that kid to last because he's clearly like the worst one.
Yeah.
And the other ones are like, they were just kind of in the car and
like henchmen.
Yeah, they're not really even like the worst. But he kills Jim like third out of like 6. And then he's just like, the last one he kills it, I think is Tia Carrere. It's just this guy's girlfriend.
Yeah. And she was even like, she had remorse about it. Like she wasn't really down with it. She didn't like it. She thought it was a bad idea, and she knew he was turning weird.
Yeah,
that was bizarre.
But it's weird that they did that, and like because once he's dead, it's
like, okay, we did it.
Yeah, you would think,
dude. The scene where he dies with the hit and run. This might, I don't know. This might be my favorite scene in the movie, but he goes to the convenience store.
Yeah,
and so the scene opens up with, first of all, let me describe Jon Mikl Thor, because if you haven't seen this movie, he's this like giant ripped, not like Ferrigno hulking big. He's just like jacked, like ripped, great shape, with really long hair, like Thor hair. He's like he's playing baseball. So like there's the first time we see him, isn't it? As an adult,
yeah, he's playing baseball.
Baseball. So he goes to this convenience store, like a local 7-Eleven kind of place, to get some food for his mom, who's played by Lady Gaga, apparently. But before he gets to buy his stuff, there's another customer, and the customer is having a talk with the store owner, who's like Italian. And they have this weird conversation where he's like, "You got the provolone?" And like, they're talking about Italian stuff. And it's clearly a shitty, less than Circle K 7-Eleven kind of like place, but they're talking about all these like crazy Italian ingredients. I was like, what the fuck is this place? So so Thor's in there, and all of a sudden these guys come in to rob it, and he's like,
he stops the robbery.
But he's like hiding behind. He's like, in this scene where he's hiding behind some shelves, you can see the camera, you can see through the shelf, and you can see him like behind there getting ready. Yeah. Because there's nothing on the shelves.
That's awesome.
And then like he like throws a can, and one of the guys comes over to see what it is, and he just like grabs him and like manhandles him. And then he goes over to the other guy who has the gun, and the dude points the gun at him. He takes him out, but he goes and he throws these dudes out of the convenience store. When I was watching it, I was like, did he just throw them out with his dick? Because he like he takes them outside and like gives them this like Ace Ventura shove with his like pelvis.
Yeah.
And it just worked so great with how he looks. It was so bananas. And there's like all these weird signs on the outside of the shop. There's one that says Jappy dry dog food sold here, and it's huge. It's this huge sign. And I'm like, what? Who why did we have, who wanted to make sure that was in the, it was a great scene. He goes out. I
wrote down like, this guy's got to be like Adam's like idol at this point in the movie. Like he's just like a good old boy. He's just jacked, and he's just an 80s rocker, and he goes and saves the day.
Oh yeah,
this guy's got a Mario the convenience store guy's got like a Mario Brothers Italian accent too.
Totally.
Like, oh, it's a Tony. It's so good to see you.
You give this to your mom and tell her I said hi.
So then he leaves and immediately gets run over by a car.
Totally.
It's not even the guys that were just like that scene is just
right.
It's just there to establish like that he's a good dude.
Right.
And like as soon as like you would think it'd be like, oh, the robber's gonna run him over.
Right.
But no, it's just two other shitheads.
Yeah.
It's just another group of shitty people.
They run him over and just like cream him. He's laying on the ground. And then like the locals kind of take him back
to his mom's.
And she like immediately, I thought it was Lady Gaga. And then I was like, wait, this is 1986. She's like, she knows exactly who to call. She's like, do you have her name? I don't know. The priestess lady.
The voodoo lady.
The voodoo lady. Go get her. And they're like, what? Like,
I think Mario is like, it's like, what do you want to her? She's a crazy Haitian.
She is a crazy. Oh, yeah, that's right. He calls her a Haitian. So they get her and they get him and she comes and they resurrect him. And so because it was voodoo zombie, there's always like a curse that goes along with that kind of, and they got like a motivation, which I even wrote it down. Like I've never really gotten into the voodoo zombie stuff, which is where the whole zombie idea comes from. I never really got into it, but this is the first time that I kind of dug it because like he physically is a cool zombie in like how he looks cool. So he comes back to life to go kill everybody to get revenge. And that's basically the movie. Like,
I laughed out loud. I'm laughing now just thinking about it. He like shoots out of the coffin. He's like, and then she just hands him a baseball bat. Like he's like, what? Oh, okay. And then he just goes. It's great.
So he's a zombie running around
with a baseball bat, trying to kill these people.
Which was a little bit scary. Like when he's in the rec center or whatever.
Yeah.
Chasing the other chick. And they use slow motion really well. He'll be at the end of a hallway, like screaming and it's slow motion. And I was like, if I saw that, all the lights are on. I'm like the last person at the YMCA to leave. And there's a zombie like down there screaming with a baseball bat. I'm gonna be like, fuck this.
The editor really knew what he was doing. I bet this guy went on, whoever edited this, I'm sure went on to do good things. Because there's a bunch of stuff where it's like, just really cool little edits, like from scene to scene, or sure. The transition from the little kid into Thor, like
I just saw it in my notes. Why is she talking like that anyway?
Yeah.
Doesn't she have a history with Adam West?
Yeah, Adam West was the guy that killed.
Oh, right. Okay.
Mikl Thor's dad.
Oh, that's right. He was one of the punks. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I had to figure all this out after watching the movie twice. And she blatantly says that too.
I forgot about that when I was explaining it. So yeah, he was one of the punks that kills Mikl Thor's dad, and then becomes the cop. And that's why his dad at the end grabs him and pulls him in the ground.
Yeah, I didn't get until the second time that the second zombie was the dad.
Right. So they introduced Adam West, like I said, with the gun, and he's the cop on the case. But I think he knows who's involved, so he's kind of intentionally throwing the game because of that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's
throwing a little wrench in the works, because you've got this other hero cop who's actually legitimately trying to figure things out.
You've got this hero cop who's like, trying to figure out, and then you've got the the forensic cop. I don't know the other cop,
Columbo.
Who's doing the see?
Yeah,
like, he's doing like an old
James Cagney,
we're gonna go over here, kid, and we're gonna get, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
That's another dude, man. He thought he was up for an Oscar. He's like, I'm working with Adam West. He's like, this is my chance. I'm telling you, everybody in this movie was like, oh shit, Adam West. I'm gonna be on point. I guarantee. I had Columbo, but James Cagney's probably closer.
I mean, it was weird, but it worked. And that's another guy that just keeps being like, double suicide. Let's call it.
Are you a Columbo fan?
Not as much as I wish I was. I've every time I've seen Columbo, I like it. And my wife knows Columbo real well. Yeah, but I gotta go back and watch it.
It's a little bit of street cred I might have to give her.
Yeah, she likes a lot of those old shows, man. She's
Tia Carrere, how did she die? I just wrote that
she slams her head. They're in like that subway car
against the glass, right? And her face just explodes. Get in the car, witch. You get down to, he's gone through all these guys. Another scene I wanted to make sure we brought up was the Porsche montage.
Oh yeah.
The red Porsche. Dude, they
Yeah.
spent did that not stand out to you?
Yeah, it was weird. It was like, oh, they're making a big deal. This
About
is
this car.
Yeah, it's gonna be an important. It's never back in the movie.
Like
it's
they
just,
spent. So dude gets in the car and then he's driving from point A to point B, and they spent a solid like 3 minutes showing this car from every angle that they could. And it's a great montage because it's got some good 80s music. But I was like, whose car is this? And why do they want to make sure that we see it?
here's my theory. And it's because there's a lot of scenes like that where you're like, why is this going ever so long? I mean, I've seen things that pad the runtime. I'm pretty sure a lot of this shit, the really long tennis match, the like resurrection scene, all these scenes that go on, like, why the fuck are they doing this over so long? It's so the movie's not a half an hour long because there's one what's great after they do like all the vanity shots of the Porsche, he pulls up at like the ice cream stand where all his friends are hanging out.
Yeah.
That's it. All right. Quick detour is that like they keep being like they show up and they're like, hey man, did anything about the guy we killed last night in the paper? They're like, no, I've been listening to the radio all day, nothing about it. And then later on in the movie, Tia Carrere's like, didn't you hear about Jim? Didn't you listen to the radio? Like, oh, that's how they announce that people are dead. And like, yeah, I listen to the radio and they're always talking about it. All the murder. Like, what? It's so anyway, but like, so he goes up.
Wait, can you imagine like today, like in Chicago, what on a weekend we get like 37 people die or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you're turning on the radio and it's just like, and today.
Yeah. Bill Jones, like by name, like, and how they died.
Oh
like, it's God. The weirdest thing. But yeah. So then but then he goes, yeah, it doesn't look like anybody. And they're like, what happened to the car? And he's like, well, it had some front damage. So I traded it. I sold it to my cousin. And he's like, okay, whatever. And then another one of his friends comes out. He goes, and they're talking, and he goes, well, what happened to the car? And he goes, I was just telling him, and he tells them this again. He's like, he did. He didn't say the exact same thing, but he just tells him again that like, I sold it to my cousin because like we ran someone over with it last night. And it's like, why the fuck did they? Why wouldn't you cut that?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Like there's a little thing like why?
It all comes to a head. It all comes to a head at the end with
real quick. I've written because Jimbo is like the big piece of shit in the movie, right. And there's a girl he's like constantly trying to hook up with, but all like he's just like, hey, let's go, fool around. She's like, no, I'm not into you. Is it? Well, and they argue about it. But all they do is argue about how big his dick is. Like, it's so weird. Every line she has, like, well, I don't like guys with small dicks. Like, well, like, good, because I have a big one. It's like, yeah, I don't think you do. I bet it's small. Like, it's every scene they have. That's all they talk about.
That's
it's
awesome.
So fucking weird. And then they have like 3 scenes like that, and then he just goes and tries to rape her.
Man, it's good, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. I mean, it moves.
Yeah. You got anything else before we hit the end of it? I don't want to cut any other scenes that you enjoyed.
No. I you know what? I was wondering why they so the first time Thor comes out and he kills that guy and he's got long hair. He looks great.
Right.
And I guess like, and then he goes back to sleep and then comes back out the next night.
I know what you're gonna say. Yeah.
And they like cut his hair.
He keeps getting a haircut. I wrote that down. I was like, why does the zombie keep getting haircuts and who's doing it?
But, and like you've got this dude that's like jacked.
Yeah.
Like, and they put him in like this like big giant sweatshirt. Yeah. Like it didn't even have to be.
You wanted to see him naked.
Well, I mean, you've got what are you doing? Like you've got this guy that's you clearly got this guy because he's like,
I figured out the hair thing after I sat with it for a minute, and it's because somebody says something once he kills like I think it's when he gets to Tia Carrere. Somebody says something to the effect of, well, once maybe it's the zombie, maybe it's the priestess. Once he finishes his killing these people, getting his revenge, he's going to die. And so right now he's at his weakest. So what's happening with the hair is that after he kills everyone or everyone that he kills, he gets
Yeah, he's
disintegrates.
decomposing. Yeah,
Decomposing.
I figured that out.
So his hair is falling out. That's what that is.
But like, I don't know, just aesthetically, like it looks.
I thought he was getting haircuts. I was like, why? Okay, like sure, I'll go with it. But who's cutting his hair? Who's doing it?
Okay. I got a couple more fucking wacky lines before we get to the end. One of my favorite lines was the fucking Columbo cop. They're like, whatever.
Yeah.
When they find Jimbo, they're fight. So there's a couple scenes from this scene that are so weird. He fights Jimbo. He jams a baseball bat through his
stabs
chest.
him with the bat. Yeah,
and leaves him there, right?
Yeah.
And there's a ton of blood. Then it cuts to like the next morning. And the cops are there with the girl that Jimbo was like trying to rape. And it starts off like mid conversation. She's like, I already told you. No, he was. And she's like, he wasn't my boyfriend. He's like, what were you doing in the alley with him? She's like, he was trying to rape me. And it's like, what was the first half of this conversation? Like, how did you guys? And he's like, well, why would you go in an alley? Like, wouldn't you start with this guy trying to rape me in the alley? Like, anyway, that's awesome. But yeah, but then like they go and they find you. The next two things that happen are kind of fun. So they go and they find Jimbo. He's got a baseball bag sticking out of his stomach. The Columbo cop is talking to Frank the cop, and he's like, that's Jimbo Jones or whatever. He's like, I know that kid. And he's like, Jimbo Jones from The Simpsons. But anyway, he goes, he's like, I know that kid. He's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He's like, no, the kid was a bum. He's a disgrace to his whole family. It's like, I don't know. I thought that was funny. But then Frank the cop, and he's like, yeah, he's whatever. Let's rule it suicide, like they always do. And then he goes and walks over to the body, and he looks down. And he goes, no blood. And then like thinks about it and walks away. And I'm like, they just showed the body in the previous scene. There was blood all over the place. Like, what do you mean no blood? Like, you've already showed a ton of blood. Like, it was such a weird, just such a weird choice, you know? And after he kills that guy, after he kills this guy, he goes to kill like the other kid's dad. You see, like too, like he went to the other guy's house. That guy shoots him with a shotgun.
Oh, right.
And then he just breaks that guy's neck. Like, right. He kills a random dude.
Well, I think wasn't he didn't have something to do with his dad's death?
No, I mean he killed him, like, right?
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. I think it was off screen, but it was definitely like, why is he going to kill this kid's parents? It was a really weird. Anyway, none of that matters
because they had him.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's now we can go to the ending.
And then the ending was just everybody ends up in the cemetery. Yeah, and like everybody, all the players are there. Mikl Thor is like at the end of his game. Or
he's killed all the people.
Yeah, he's killed all the people.
He has to kill to break the curse.
And Adam West reveals himself as like a dickhead to everyone, and he's got his gun out. And it seems like such a random thing because it's like at first I was like, I remember thinking when I first saw this movie a couple of years ago that they just wanted to include Adam West in zombie action death stuff. And so they had this random zombie come out of the ground and just pull him in. And that was before I realized that was the dad, but it's the dad. Adam West happens to be standing like right next to the dad's grave.
Yeah.
And the dad just comes out of nowhere, like comes out of the grave, grabs Adam West, starts pulling him in. And the good cop is standing there and just like, Adam West, like, help me. Or he's like, shoot me.
Yeah.
Like, shoot me.
He says, kill me.
Yeah. Cause he knows he knows he's fucked. And the cop's just standing there. Great zombie makeup on the dad.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. I really like, it's a great ending because I really like seeing Adam West, knowing he's a shitbag and kind of started this whole thing off at the beginning, seeing him pulled into this just void, it's like this red glow under there. They really pulled that off, like that effect. And he's just getting pulled down there and they completely disappear. And I just imagine like Adam West just getting fucked by this zombie for life.
Yeah.
Or something. Really good, really solid ending. I liked it. What happened to Thor at the end of this?
Nothing. Fucking Adam West shoots him.
Oh, right.
And he dies.
Yeah.
And then he shoots the voodoo lady.
Right.
And then this zombie comes up and drags him underground, and then
everybody's dead except
except fucking Frank, and then Frank leaves, and it's the end of the movie.
Yeah, which is really abrupt. He's just like
was really abrupt.
He's just like lesson learned, and he like leaves.
He doesn't even do that. He just walks away.
I know. But that's what he's thinking. He's like, oh. It's what you get when you're shitty.
It would be like if at the end of Die Hard they just like they kill the bad guy and
like
then
he falls off,
he falls off and
falls
then
off, and
at the end,
the
like they don't bother to do the ambulance shot or anything. Like
yeah,
they're like, hey, everything's gonna be okay, whatever. Like
that's the only thing this movie could have benefited from was like
a
good,
like a 10-second epilogue.
Just like the good cop walks off, freeze frame, don't go to black, and then bring your song in, like your Thor song in. Definitely worth a watch, I think. When you're in the mood.
I mean, it moved.
Like this.
It was solid.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong.
It was fun. It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
But so here's the other part of this. Kevin turned me on to this documentary about does the documentary have a name? It does, obviously.
It's called I Am Thor.
It's called I Am Thor. And it's about Jon Mikl Thor, the guy who plays the zombie in this, who, as it turns out, was way more than. I mean, when I first watched this movie, dude, I even wrote down. Even on the second watch for this, I wrote down Thor was just jacked hippie. Jacked hippie zombie. That's what I wrote down. But this dude is like, he's a character, man. He has a place. He has a place in like rock history. This guy.
Yeah. As like the almost like it basically, yeah. He had a rock band and they got pretty big and they got signed and they were going to be a big deal. And then whatever happened.
All kinds of shit.
Some studio, dude, no fault to this guy's. The studio was like, nah, we're not gonna.
No,
do that.
This guy tried harder than almost anybody I know in this business to make it.
Mm-hmm.
When he started as he was bodybuilding from an early age because of his brother. Watch the documentary. It's on Tubi and
it's on everything.
It's on everything.
It's on it's everywhere.
Absolutely worth a watch, especially. Do like a double feature with this movie.
I was wondering. I thought you would really enjoy this documentary.
I do.
Like, he seems like your kind of guy, and
I like a documentary when it's not just about shit that I already know about. But when you get like this was a surprise to me because he was just a dude in this movie until this. Yeah, he started out lifting weights. He wanted to compete with like Schwarzenegger and Ferrigno and all these guys, but he just couldn't. He like just missed it,
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, all right, well, what do I do? So he got into like some smutty shit, weird jobs, naked waiter shit like that. And like just crazy stuff. I thought it was hilarious where he basically said like any girl I met, I tried to have sex with her.
Yeah.
Like he was like, and he worked as like a dude who in a restaurant who just stands around naked. It just a crazy.
I mean, basically it was basically like a sleazier Chippendales.
Yeah, totally.
It was,
So that was part of his life. Then he started, and the whole while he was kind of doing music stuff. He even tried to be a movie star with this sort of image that he had going on.
Well, he started the metal band, and that was really successful. And then he started in the movies.
But the metal band and the movies, the entertainment stuff, he was on Merv Griffin and like all these like shows as the guy. Like if you turn on Conan or Letterman or whatever, he's the guy that like comes out and does some kind of like weird,
crazy shit.
Crazy shit. You see it, you enjoy it. You never think about him again because they usually don't go anywhere with these sort of shtick acts that they do.
Yeah.
And he was that. Like his thing was coming out on these talk shows. He'd come out half naked as he could be on national TV with a whoopee cushion and jacked, and he'd try to blow it up, like fit, like literally not just inflate it, but make it explode.
Blow it up until it explodes. Yeah.
That was like his thing. And when you watch the documentary,
he's still doing
it. Like he took it all the way to the end. And that was really, the documentary is great. And anytime you see a documentary about a guy like this, there's always a lot of sadness. That was sad to see him still doing that at the age of almost 60, 55. Yeah. But God bless him. Like that dude, he never gave up. And I love these stories of like, this dude fucking knew what he loved and he did what he loved. And he's still doing it as far as I know. I think the documentary was 2015.
It might have been 17. Either way, the end is like, oh, it's his last show. And then at the end, he's like, maybe not. We'll see. I don't know if he's still doing it.
Right.
But it really, I don't know. It kind of walked the line of like, what are you doing, man? Hang it up. But also like, right. Yeah, I mean, what else is he going to do? This is like his, but I love when he goes to Sweden and they all love him in Sweden.
And I had the same thought. Like At some
Like,
point,
dude,
you
move
go,
to Sweden. What are you doing?
there's a
You know?
point where you go, man, give it up. But then they find this niche crowd in Sweden and in Europe that gives them the new life at the end. Like when
Yeah.
they thought they were done. They were showing up to these gigs for like 10 people max. And then they go to fucking Sweden and they've got this Lollapalooza crowd. I fucking loved that because it was like, I can relate, man. I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I wish I could make my art for a living, not get rich, but just do my art for a living. And there's been so many times where I've been like, and right now I'm in that position where like, do I set it aside and pivot to something that's more widely accepted? And that's a struggle, man. And this guy didn't really have anything to fall back on. And that's scary as hell thinking about.
Yeah.
So good on him for just like plowing through, and he eventually found it. And dude, his band, I fucking love those guys. How awesome were they? Like the drummer guy and the guitarist, who's like, the guitarist was the guy who
that one thing was heartbreaking, man, where he goes up to the crowd, be like, hey guys, I think he's the guitarist. I'm the guitarist in Thor.
Oh yeah.
And they're all just sitting around and they're like, great, man. And he was like, and he walks away. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, I thought they're all gonna flip out.
He was so awesome. He handled it with like a sense of humor,
but he was pissed.
Yeah, he was. That was crushing. He was like, and I loved how he was mocking them. He's like, yeah, I just went up to them. I said, I'm the drummer of the band that you're here to see. We're headlining. And they were like, oh, 2:00.
Yeah.
2:00. And but he was
but then he had to pull and be like, hey, what time's the show start? And they're like 2. He's like, oh, okay. And then just walked away. It was so fuck.
That was the drummer. That dude was awesome.
He was
like
awesome.
Positive. But then the guitarist was the guy who like couldn't be bothered.
He was like, no, man. But he also didn't give a fuck. They didn't know who. Like he'd be like, yeah, I don't give a shit. They don't know who we are. I don't care.
He had a couple scenes where he was just so, like, they played it that first gig that was amazing, and he's like sitting there and he's like, that was the most amazing thing I've ever done. And then it was like cut. He was just like, he'd say one line and that was it. It was hilarious.
I mean, there were a bunch of cool, like the fan club guy, the guy that runs their fan club.
Oh yeah, dude.
Running, I mean, even the manager thing, like that, like they don't have a manager.
Yeah.
But they have a fake manager that have the and like when the other guys won't do it, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like he's like basically Thor's for 20 years pretending he is a manager. Like he picks up the phone, he's like, this is Steve. Okay, yeah, they'll be there. And he tells the guitarist, like, hey man, if they call you, just say you're Steve Smith or whatever. And that
right. That's what I was talking about. He's like,
and he's like, no,
they're
I'm not
calling
doing
my
that.
phone, man. And
Yeah.
He's like, just go with it.
And he's like, no. He's like, yeah. Oh, it got forwarded to my phone. Something got screwed up, I guess. I don't know. Like, just won't do it. It's like, what are you doing, man? Just fucking be cool,
dude. And also Thor's, and they mention it in this. They, a lot of people were like, yeah, he's the most positive.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
I mean, this guy went through some shit, and like that scene where they lose his bags, where the airport loses his bags, and he's like, he just holds it together, but everything that he needed for his show was in those bags. And he's just like, this is the part where I take my meds so that I don't freak out because they lost my bags.
I mean, but he is just a fucking super cool, positive guy.
Yeah.
Like he does, so you want him to succeed. Like it's not, that's why it's sad and not like you just like in the King of Kong, like that guy's pathetic and an asshole. Like, so it's like, kind of like, yeah, fuck that guy when he doesn't make it,
Yeah.
Like,
and this was like, the way this guy, because that's also a fear of mine, is like this guy was in a position during this, I guess the relaunch, or not the relaunch, but like the comeback tour started in like 2008, I think they said, and then continued for like a decade almost. And I was like, the whole time I'm like, what if this guy doesn't make this work? What does he do? Like, how does he live? How does he survive? And he, when we leave him at the end of the documentary, he's made it. Like he's made everything's
kind of,
reasonably okay. They've got this brand new life, and he even goes out on that last show to say like, we're retiring. This is our last show. And he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So it's like they kind of leave it like ambiguous.
I should have looked up if he's been doing. I'm sure he still does cons. Like at one point, he's at Monsterpalooza and stuff like that.
Oh man,
the one like what you say?
I was just gonna say like if he popped up at like
flashback.
Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
How cool would that
be? My one criticism with the doc, I was fucking pissed, was this because it's a fucking brutal scene where he's up on stage. So he does this thing where he blows up. He does his like parlor tricks where he blows up the whoopee cushion. But then he has another thing where he pulls out a big ass piece of steel.
Oh, right.
He bites it and bends it in half. Right. He fucking breaks all his teeth on this thing.
I think that was a gimmick.
Really?
Because his teeth are still there. Like he's going like, he's like spitting them out. That's part of the show.
Okay, because all right,
but I know, yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, how are you not getting a follow up like interview with him that he just broke all his teeth?
Yeah,
because they show him breaking, like doing the steel thing, the whole documentary, but they never show him like breaking all his teeth. So I assumed, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen.
No, I think that was absolutely part of the gimmick. Because he
Probably.
did it. He was too like look at like when he was spitting his teeth out, he was having fun with it, and I was like, all right, that maybe it's okay. Because I don't know. Because
it looked real. It looked like I don't know. I really could, because he's also such a showman that I could see him being like,
oh, I just broke my teeth.
I broke my teeth. What am I going to? But I got to finish the show.
Yeah.
Because that's the other cool. Like, in as much as everybody's like, oh, he's a super nice guy. The other thing that is super consistent is everybody that they interview is like that. Whether it's from the 80s up until like shows from 2 years ago, like. Everybody's like, that show was fucking awesome. Like that was great.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, dude. And as far as the music goes, it looked like he was in with like everybody of the era. Like he was hanging out with Kiss, he was hanging out with Frank Zappa, he was hanging out with, there was somebody else, a bunch of people in there that he was in and around and, in the scene with. And then, I was listening, and I know you were too, listening to the out. Did he only have the one album? No,
there's like 4 or 5 albums.
Yeah. Okay. So which album were we listening to?
Only the Strong, which I think is their 3rd album, but it's their like most successful.
Man, like I'm not like a metalhead in the sense of what his genre is, but it's fucking awesome.
It's like a hybrid of like hair metal and like metal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Like, yeah.
Like it's not as like kind of, I know you like Poison in them and right.
Yeah, no, it's not like that. Yeah, I do.
It's not like that, but it's not Motorhead. It's like kind of right in the middle, you know?
Right. But yeah, like just like any music, you got to be in the mood for whatever the genre of music is. But if I'm going to listen to that stuff, it's legit, like really good, well produced, well played. Everything.
I mean, it seemed like, hey, we got all the pieces. We're gonna make this guy famous. And then
when you watch it, when you hear the music in the documentary, it comes off as a little bit circusy, like that's not for me. But listen to the album, like it's a legit album. Like at least that one was. The other thing that I thought was pretty wild, because I'm a fan of Adventures in Babysitting, the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna bring this up.
So Stan Lee wanted this guy to play Thor in the Thor movie that never got made in like the 80s and 90s. There was a point. So Marvel Comics went bankrupt in like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And they sold off all their properties, which ended any prospect of making movies because all the properties were split. But right before that, in the mid late 80s, Stan Lee did want to make movies of everything, and
they were making a lot of TV shows and a lot of cartoons.
The Ferrigno, and even in the Ferrigno, one of the Hulk made for TV movies, Thor is in the Daredevil, and Thor appear in those.
And they're kind of backdoor pilots
to
potential shows.
So Stan Lee knew this guy. Obviously, I could totally see it. Stan Lee, one of the nicest guys ever. Thor, one of the nicest guys ever. Looks like Thor, loves Thor. And by the way, his version of Thor was more Norse god than Marvel Comics. But Stan Lee still wanted this guy to play Thor in an eventual movie. That didn't happen, but he did land the part of Thor, or what? He's not the mechanic.
No, Thor. I mean, he's a mechanic, but they call him Thor.
They call him Thor. In Adventures in Babysitting, he landed the part, and I think something happened with his management. They got screwed up. And they ended up,
they don't tell him. They don't say that's
right. He says like
he says that they told him like, hey, you got to talk to your management.
Right.
Like, we got to send you home. And he said, talk to your, because I assume that's how they fire you. Like they're not like, you're fired. They say, go home for the day. And they talk to
your manager. Right.
Yeah. And they,
the part went to Vincent D'Onofrio.
I wonder what that was. He said he met with the director. Was that Chris Columbus that directed that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He said he met with him and they wanted him and they hired him. Like they paid him for the part.
Right.
And then when it came to shoot it, they just went with another direction. I wonder if that was because like maybe they landed, maybe they didn't think they could get Vincent D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio wasn't anything when he.
He had done Full Metal Jacket at that point, though.
Gomer Pyle, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which was a pretty good one.
And that's the thing. Like, had Thor gotten this part, like this part didn't do much for D'Onofrio. Full Metal Jacket did. Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, but maybe. You never know.
I don't think it would have. I think if it did anything for D'Onofrio, it's because of Full Metal Jacket.
Sure.
Thor didn't have anything prior to this. And so him being in it, he thought it was going to launch his career. I don't think it would have been.
It would have gotten eyes on him, maybe. People being like, oh, let's get the jet. Like, we need a jet guy for,
right.
Who knows? It could have been, you know what I mean? They could have been doing,
I guess,
Terminator. And Terminator was before this, but still, we need a jet guy. Why don't we get the guy from, I saw that movie,
It's too bad, man, for this guy. I
know, man, because there's multiple times where it's like, man, he was right there. He was right there. Yeah. And then it was just like, nah.
The time he got kidnapped.
Yeah, and they don't really talk about it. There's a couple things in this movie where the documentary guys let him off the hook.
Yeah, they kind of tease you.
Well, they're just like, I don't want to talk about it. It's like, you don't want to talk about it when you got kidnapped? And
he said he couldn't because at the time they agreed, because it was people from the record company that kidnapped him.
Yeah,
because they wanted to make sure that they got their cut of whatever he was going to be making. And so they were like holding him for ransom almost. And then I guess they just, because he never pressed charges, they agreed. And so he didn't want to rehash it, I guess, but crazy. Yeah, it's a great story. Just all of it, especially when you check out this movie and then the documentary together. He's a really cool dude, like cool character.
Yeah, I would love to meet him at a show.
Yeah,
I hope he's still doing content. Man, that scene where he's putting the skulls on, and he's just like, how many times? Things on. He puts them on like wrong. Like he puts them on. Before the chest piece, he's like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
Oh shit!
He's just stuff. But he is. It was solid documentary, man.
Yeah. I wish him the best, dude. He's definitely got some health issues, and they left him when we left him in the documentary, which is at least 5 years old now. Who knows how he is now, but I hope he's doing all right. He seems like a solid dude out there doing what he loves. You got anything else?
No, I was just getting a update on seeing if he's touring or anything.
Oh, good stuff. I would absolutely recommend both movies, Zombie Nightmare and I Am Thor.
He's on Twitter, by the way. It's Thor Universe at Thor Universe.
It's interesting that he's been able to. I guess that's public domain. The name, I guess.
Oh yeah, Thor's Winnie the Pooh's public domain now.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I saw the poster for that horror movie, the Winnie the Pooh. Fuck everybody. Fuck those guys who are doing that. Like Winnie the Pooh is. I'll keep my rant short, but Winnie the Pooh is known as a child's property character, and for them to, just because it's in public domain, to like almost defame it like this, because now a kid who likes Winnie the Pooh is possibly gonna confront this bullshit.
Maybe. It's just edgelord bullshit. That's all it is. It's like
they're doing it because they can. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah, nice.
Unoriginal assholes. Anyway, Thor, do that. Did you find anything on any tour or anything like that?
I'm on his website. He sells a lot of. He's got an album that came out in 2017.
Oh shit.
He's got a new album.
That was the other thing, man. His merch, like watching him tote that shit around and have to pack it up himself.
Yeah.
Especially at that age.
Yeah, they say they haven't updated it. Last post was in 2019.
Well, if we find anything else out about it, we'll keep it posted. All right, man. So next week, that'll be our final show for the season. We're doing our best of, worst of. If you listened to last season, I think we each came to the table with. I'll post all the categories on Instagram.
Yeah.
Basically, we're going to do all the shit we loved, all the shit we didn't.
Yeah. Best of, worst of.
Out of the 20,
all that kind of stuff,
or 30 some odd movies that we watched. So that'll be fun. So that's next week. Like I said, I'll be posting more details on that on Patreon, Instagram. I'll have the categories and all that, and like the deep dive on it on Patreon, which, by the way, if you want to find us on social media, it's at Death by Podcast, Instagram. And if you want to support the show directly, you can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/Death by Podcast, where we have our second bonus mini show, BoobTube TV. This week we did another episode of Tales from the Crypt, season 2, episode 12. We talked about that, and awesome community over there of super sweaty folks. You know, that this documentary, it really puts into perspective the fan base, I think, and how sometimes maligned the fan base can be when they're like super fans, you know, of something, of anything, especially in the con crowd and whatever. But it was the fans that like you brought up that one dude, you know, he was a super fan, but then also ended up playing with him in his band and like,
well, when you're small,
bolstering him and all that stuff.
Yeah. And you know, you can get close to if you get in early enough, or like, you know, or in his case, late enough, you know, he was just way into the band and was like, I wonder if they're still doing anything, you know?
I think it goes to show, like, and I've experienced it. We've experienced it with this podcast. I've experienced it with like my other stuff that I do. When you get fans that are like a little too into you or whatever, and you see it at cons with but it's like, sometimes that's your greatest ally. And like to appreciate that, you know, like the sweaties. I mean,
I get like, okay, like, you know, if you have a shitload of family, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to get like a little, but I don't know. I think I would always be like fucking super grateful anytime somebody was like, I dig what, you know what I mean?
Totally.
I don't know.
If you're creating something and somebody really likes it, yeah, dude.
Absolutely. I can't imagine being, I mean, who knows? Again, I've never been put to that test, but I can't imagine being like, you know what I mean? Like, I would want to be like, if somebody said like, I really like your thing, it'd be great. That's awesome. Do you want let's talk as much as you want, man.
Right.
Like, you know,
I always think about,
I'll talk about my thing.
Right. Right.
I made.
I always think about one of the times when it went bad was I was at, you know, Tony Harris, the artist, Ex Machina, all that stuff. Anyway, we were at his table, Joe and I and my brother, and there was a line of us just like watching him draw. Mm-hmm. And there was this super sweaty. I'm talking trench coat, hasn't had a shower in forever. His nails were like fucking Freddy Krueger. And Tony Harris is drawing something, and he's also telling a story about, I want to say it was Mike Wieringo.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite artists of all
one time. Of those artists. I'm pretty sure it was him who had passed away. It was either him or Golden. I can't remember. But anyway, Harris was good friends with him, and he was telling a story about him. And this sweaty interrupted, and it started talking, just like blatantly, just cut him off in mid-story, talking about, oh, I met him too, and I was like, Tony Harris stopped him and was like, hey man, I'm telling a story about my dead friend. Shut up.
That seems very much.
And I was like, hell yeah, dude. Joe and I were both like, oh, it was awesome.
Jesus Christ.
That's when the sweaty goes bad. You know, it's like, don't do that. Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, kudos to Tony Harris. But yeah, anyway, Patreon, you can find us there. That's all I got, man. You got anything else? What were you
doing? Nothing. I was gonna make a joke, it wouldn't make any sense. You know, I got nothing, man.
All right. Good time, good show, good movies. Catch us next week for the best of. And that'll be our final show for the season. Thank you all for listening. If you're enjoying the show, tell people about it. And shout out to John, my neighbor. Forgot about that, for being sweaty. Talk about sweaties. He's our sweatiest. Yeah, he's our sweatiest fan. So shout out to John. He's not, but whatever. Yeah, we'll see you next week. I am your host, Adam, and that is your other host,
Kevin. Yeah.
It's Miller time. Good stuff. Perfect. See you later, folks. Stay sweaty.